wait a second. Let me unblur my background. I've got these awesome lions, so we'll show my lions. Can you see them?
Oh,
There?
yeah.
Yeah, by the way, Julia, right now, is it me? The layout is that I see the principal speaker. It must be me in a big bo Yes, let me go to
You got
gallery.
to go to gallery.
There
Yeah.
I am. There I am.
Yeah. I'm sorry I'm in my kitchen. I had to do this standing up because I'm sick of sitting down.
Well, I'm in my alternate location
Yes.
because I have Mary an ancient desktop. It's 12 years old and it's in kind of this office den area I have downstairs, which I think is slightly mysterious. You see a lot of books, you see wine,
You see action
you see
figures.
action figures,
Hopefully, Star Wars.
Yes.
well, no, the Star Wars are up here.
Oh,
You got
okay.
some down there, I believe. You have a Yoda. You
Yeah, I have a few paraphernalia, but the 1977 Kenner action figures. In fact, let me go get one. Hold on.
we asked for it.
Sounds like I asked the right question then.
Yay. Exactly. Starting off awesome. Uh, so what I'll do is I'll end up editing this later, but I don't think I'm
So
going to
here
edit out
is
that.
the
Obi-Wan.
1977 Obi-Wan
Oh
with the
yeah.
with the this, and if I had
Is that
Oh,
his saber? I can't
that's
see.
his light
Lightsaber.
saber, but there's a different one that is sort of has even more action than this, and this would be worth a way more, but it's complete. And then here's Princess Leia. Unfortunately,
Yay.
oh, hey,
I
she
do
looks
not have her
great, man.
gun.
She has my headphones on.
Yes, she does. I don't have her gun, or whatever the thing was.
Lightsaber.
And I can now
No, I think she had a
remember.
gun.
Did
I
she?
think
Oh,
she had
that's
a
right. She
gun,
did in the hallway.
right? And if you think about it, I think it's modeled after a Webley, whatever the Webley. I don't know. I've only read about it in books, but
I
Wow.
still remember
A real
now
gun.
when I realized how much these were worth, reflecting on the fact that I didn't have her gun. And then I flashed back on a moment when I was tidying up and there were a bunch of loose plastic things in a little plastic container. And I decided, oh, I don't need those. I'm throwing them away. And
Yep.
I'm pretty sure that's where her gun was.
You
But
know what?
anyway,
She's more valuable to me without a gun, just so you know.
well, I agree. I agree. But anyway,
I honestly think that version of her looks better than the more current versions of her. Her
yeah.
cape is really done well there.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's
yes.
similar to Obi-Wan's. It's that Jedi sort of moving, going with the flow cape.
Mhm.
If
The
my
Force
house
is
gets
moving the cape.
burglarized in the next few weeks, I will blame.
Well, this probably won't be out for like 4 weeks, so I think you're safe.
I'm no, yeah, but
Well, you'll just return them to your safe deposit box, right?
of course, yes. I have this funny, well, I don't think it's funny, but I have this attitude that things are to be used, and so almost everything I have is highly used. Uh,
So we can come over and play Star Wars sometimes with your action
we
figure.
we can. I have so much. I'm just gonna stop talking about it.
I don't think you should, but okay. Well, so we have Mary Napier, correct? Napier?
Accurate, yes. Uh-huh.
Say that
Okay.
last name again.
Napier,
Napier, a napkin
Napier.
maker.
Napier.
one who makes
Is
napkins.
that what that means? The napkin maker.
Mhm.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Weavers. We were
Weavers. Yeah,
weavers.
that's very nice. I like
Well,
that.
and Mary is a weaver of time, like through of
Oh, and I have a loom, right? I
and you have
mean,
a loom. Did you make that sort of tapestry behind you?
oh, that's a print.
Oh, okay.
But I typically make blankets and rugs.
Oh, very cool.
And where are
So,
you located?
yeah.
Fairfax, Virginia.
Oh, wow, we're just down the road from each other. Not too
Mhm.
much detail, lest the robbers.
Oh, yeah. Well, I can say now that you've revealed your location to the
That's so
robbers of
funny.
the world who all watch this podcast. I met Mary. I was checking out a house in the area and I was in the forest
This
because
one is truly random.
yes, and I saw this woman and I was with my husband and we're like, "Hi." And she came back with a folksy hi. And I knew she was from the Midwest. So I was like,
And my
"Hey,
dog was probably jumping all over your ankles.
yeah, yeah, yeah." And then when
And
I
what kind
talked
of
with
dog?
you,
What kind of dog?
a
Oh,
wonderful
I
dog.
have a girl dog. It's a Maltipoo, a little white fluff ball.
Okay.
And she's wonderful. But that's how we started talking. And I was right, she was from the Midwest because those are the only people who say hi without reservation
And
on
where
the
in
East Coast.
Midwest?
Oh, you would think that would be a straightforward answer.
Oh.
Let's just say I grew up outside Detroit.
No judgment. So,
Oh no, I love Detroit.
no,
Detroit's
I went to
fabulous.
Detroit almost 10 years ago now for a weekend just to check it out, and I found it fascinating. Uh, I perhaps will be the first person to put Detroit and Budapest in the same sentence, but
Bees and
I
bars.
love Faded Splendor. I mean, it's a theme that is I
Wow.
really resonate with. And so Detroit, as does Budapest, just reeks of Faded Splendor. I have to say Budapest's Faded Splendor is nicer than Detroit's, but
I was just in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, and it was a town of faded splendor. And I talked with a couple people about the coal mines and about the steel mill and, how tech is trying to replace that there and how it's not working because those are completely different kinds of skills. You've got a population with one type of skill that's been in the family for a while. Now you're trying to switch to this other type of skill. It just
I
means
mean,
new people
yes,
are moving in
right. Motor skills, which I have tremendous respect for because I largely don't have them.
for
Uh,
crafts. Yeah.
yeah, for crafts, those
Yeah.
artisanal skills are huge. And the people, the families that for years stayed in that area, they stayed there because they were in that stream.
Yeah.
It fit their abilities,
Yeah.
and you just can't change them.
Right. Right.
Even in several generations, probably you can't change them.
Right. And so it's interesting to think about having more industry coming back to this country and what that will do with people's brains and the generations of people who have had to switch over. Now maybe they're switching back. What does that mean? I mean, how long will that take? I don't know. But Mary,
But
we
do we
should
really think tech will eat everything? I say no.
no,
And as a genomicist, I say no.
yeah, yeah. Okay, we got to introduce you a little bit further. So, and
Yeah.
usually we're lazy, and so we just ask you to introduce you. So, at this point, how would you introduce yourself? You've seen a couple Pandas episodes. You know we have all sorts of wild and interesting people on the show. How do you
The
frame
pressure's
yourself?
on. The
I know.
Pressure's
pressure's
on.
Yeah.
on.
I would just say I'm a technologist with a background in genomics, and I help people build products that use the human or animal or plant genomes, which is why I got so passionate about biobanks. And my first degree was in botany. Um, and I went to school as the Berlin Wall was falling down, and we had scientists come from behind the Iron Curtain to exchange stories and about their seed banks. And so I think I fell in love hook, line, and sinker. And then it sort of progressed into because I was a scientist, I went down to Northwestern. That sounds like Chicago, so I'm also from Chicago. And then I would take the Northwestern bus to school as and to go work as a scientist. And I saw this little girl come on the bus with her mother. And she always had her bunny by the ears. I used to carry my stuffed bunny by the ears and her mother's hand in the other hand. And in the beginning, her mother was braver than she was. And she obviously lost her hair because she was getting treated for cancer. And in the end, she was braver than her mother.
Mm.
And I always looked forward to seeing her because I wanted to see her for that next treatment. And then I stopped seeing her, and that then started me on my cancer journey.
Mm.
What's it,
So
what I want to hear about that. Sorry, Carmen.
I'll me throw in this question because you can, it'll maybe as part of your continuation. So biomimicry, do you know the term
Are we talking
biomimicry?
about like
That we,
monarchs?
huh? Sorry?
Monarch butterflies?
No, this idea that we need to learn more lessons from nature,
Oh, yes,
uh,
yes.
in terms of how we humans try to institutionalize, organize, process things. So I know that is biomimicry. So
Yeah, and also what's a biobank and how does that relate to what
yeah,
Carmen just said? And then what's your cancer story? So can you answer all three questions, please? Go.
7 minutes.
Okay, so I thought biomimicry as how other species like
Mm,
monarchs tend to look like moths,
Yeah.
tend to
right,
look like
right.
other butterflies. So I thought of that. It's been a while since I've heard of biomimicry used in that instance.
Hmm.
What are biobanks? Biobanks can be plant or they can be human, but they are basically like a library. Where we store samples, and samples can be seeds, they can be actual plants, and they can be actually in gardens. And on the human side, these all have accession IDs. They can be DNA, they can be RNA. Um, and the one that my first experience was corn in Wisconsin.
Oh,
So are they, I mean, so the purpose of a biobank is to hold on to sort of the original genome or the quote unquote, or maybe it's not original, maybe it's just like a historical genome, like
It's
a
a
biome.
snapshot,
Yeah, it's
right?
a
It's
snapshot.
a snapshot.
aren't there like some government seed banks where
Yes,
they're trying to
yes,
keep them, so that we can rebuild
yes.
after the apocalypse?
Oh, well, the apocalypse one is the Millennial Seed Bank above the Arctic Circle in Svalbard, run by
Hmm.
Kew Gardens out of London.
Oh, wow.
Or, yeah, it's out of London.
Yeah.
London-ish, London surrounding. But the USDA has a seed bank. The US Navy had a mission to be collecting seeds from all over the world up until I don't have the quite decade, but I'm positive the 60s. And because they felt a strong agricultural base was founded in biodiversity.
Wow. So seed banks, are there animal? I mean, you mentioned this, that there could be like animal genomes. There was the recently that fox story. Was it a fox that was sort of taken from like basically an extinct fox
Yeah, was that the gray wolf or
was
something
the
like
gray
that?
wolf. It wasn't a fox, it was the
Yeah.
Yeah.
wolf. Yeah, are there like do we have human genomes from snapshots in history so that we could go back to something if we really mess things up with CRISPR? This is what I'm asking.
Uh, well, so here's an example. If you can isolate from bone, yes. You can
Couldn't
ice
you?
you can so like for instance, I think they identified Richard III's bones
Yes, they
underneath the
did.
parking lot.
Right. And figured out
Yeah, that's right.
what his health issue was.
So,
Isn't it
but
just marvelous?
it is, but it's
Yeah.
scary. It's a little scary. So, like, did they use DNA or did they use chemical composition of in other words, do osteoblasts have DNA?
Everything does.
Well, no, like blood cells don't, right?
They must.
I don't think blood cells have DNA. But I mean, I think blood, like red blood cells. I'm gonna look it up.
Chat GPT it.
Yeah.
Yes. So while you look it up, well, no, I have a story.
No, they don't.
Really? But wait a
Yeah.
second. How in the world do we take?
Well, we get the DNA from other. The blood has a lot of stuff in it, right? It's got red blood cells, it's got white blood cells, it's got immune system cells. So I think we get the DNA from the plasma, maybe.
Oh, okay. I can buy that for $1.
Really, only $1. I gotta work harder.
Sorry.
So I have a story that I want to it's a historical story that I want to relate, but I want to get in queue after the cancer thing, which I still think we're waiting to hear.
Oh, whoops. I forgot to tell you about that. What do you want to know about that?
Well, I
Oh
don't
yeah,
know.
yeah. What's your cancer?
What's your cancer story? You were telling us about
Well,
the
I
young
have layers,
girl.
right?
Yeah.
Cancer's touched people's direct families, indirect families. So I have stories like that. I guess I have three stories like that. Oh, four, like once you start thinking. But I did a lot of cancer research in England. And then back in the US. And then I typically work in big biotech, big life tech, developing products, which usually 80% of them by revenue, not necessarily by volume, are being used for cancer diagnostics.
So
Hmm.
is it that you can't really talk about it, like in specific because you have NDAs, or is there a cancer journey that you don't want to talk about because it's emotional, or is it that we're not grasping it yet?
I feel those choices are not
They're not mutually
exclusive.
exclusive.
Yeah, but
Yeah. I mean, or another option.
Well, if we pick it up from where I was waiting for the little girl to come with the
yes,
bunny in
yes,
her
I think that's
Yes.
where it began.
That's where it
Yeah.
began.
So one of the one of the days I saw her, we had someone come in from England, and this person ended up was one of three people that won the 2001 Nobel Prize in medicine. And he spoke on the cell cycle. And to me, and the cell cycle is just, if you think of a clock face, it's regulated cell division. Cancer is the opposite. It's unregulated cell division. And this person said, the cell cycle has several phases, has, I think, three or four phases, and each one is like a phase gate. Um, and you can, and even to this day, if you know what genes are active, you know if the cell's dividing, if it's uh, synthesizing its DNA, or if it's like really kicking off a growth cycle. Um, and so some of these cell cycle proteins are obviously targeted by diagnostics, and some of them are even targeted by therapeutics. So so actually, cue me in on where you guys are. If I'm going off into a rat hole, that's
No,
Whatever you meant by your cancer journey, that piques both of
yeah.
our
So
interests.
I sat there in that lecture and I said, I am going to do that.
mm,
Oh.
That's the cure to help that little girl with her bunny.
Hmm.
Um,
um,
and so then, and I came back into the lab and I was like, I am going there. And my boss said, here's a stack of Nature magazines. Go find out who publishes with this guy. And it was back when we had paper.
yeah.
And so I applied to three labs in England and oh yeah. And I thought about applying to one lab in Washington State, but those three labs I applied to, I got into the fourth one. Um, those top three labs won that they were each on the
Ah,
2001 Nobel Prize
Wow.
for discovering this cell cycle and the
mm.
checkpoints and the proteins that go along that thing. So that was super cool. Um, but I guess I get to England and I'm like, it's going to sound pretty lame by today's standards, but I was in charge of screening like 400 functional relationships. And I was like, dude, this was a bad screen, man. And so I went through it and went through it like a good soldier. And then my father's one of his best friends got pancreatic cancer.
Yeah.
And pancreatic cancer, you need your pancreas. And so you don't live very long. And this was a long time ago. And so then I would go into the lab at like 9 in the morning and I would leave at 2:30 at night. And we had this really, and this is a pretty intense research institution. So this super smart, intense German guy came in one night and he goes, you know, you have been working later than I have. And that's impressive because most people can't pull that off like this.
Mm.
And I thought that was one of the best compliments I've ever gotten in my life. But the inevitable happened, and I was still screening my clones, and our friend's father died. And
Mm.
then Julia, by the way, this is the person that lives on the farm. This is
Mm,
someone from the farm. And I was really heartbroken and had a crisis of confidence
mm.
for a little while. Um,
I want to quickly address something before I forget, even though that's an emotional moment. But when you said screening your clones, I know what you mean. But people who don't do molecular biology might think that you're actually cloning people. So you might want to tell us what that means.
Okay, so it turns out, and I think this is kind of cool. My clones were in yeast, and these proteins are so similar that there is 95% homology or 95% similarities between the yeast genes, these yeast genes as human genes. And okay, we cannot put genes into humans, but we can put them into mice.
Mm.
And you can put these, and these are now synthetic, these are just strings of DNA. You can have a knockout mouse, it means a mouse doesn't have the gene, and you put in the strings from the yeast
DNA.
gene,
Yeah.
and it rescues function.
Yep. So it actually works
Mm.
in the mouse.
Yes. And so this cancer screen was, we were just looking at, I want to say they were G2. Shoot me, because I'm forgetting what my own thesis was on. Um, and these particular proteins go through the Golgi and they get sugar and glycosylated. And my hunch was from my Northwestern work that these had to do with north and south of a epithelial cells. And so you're like, oh my God, you're in the weeds. But epithelial cells are what makes solid tumor cancers are usually cancer of the epithelial cells, and they circulate. They turn into circles, and that's the beginning of the cyst.
Mhm.
Oh.
It's so cool.
So
It's so
what would
cool.
be the other types of cells that form cancer? You said epithelial cells form solid tumor
Your
cancer.
blood cells, this is why I was kind of shocked that, and we still have to
Uh-huh.
chat GBT it, your blood cells will form cancers as well. And they just, I'm originally someone who was good with microscopes. So when I think of things, I first think about their shapes that I can see them in the microscope versus maybe how we're thinking about them genomically. So I came to genomics second and uh, uh, pathology and physiology first. But anyway, my understanding looking through the microscope is these blood-based cancer cells, they kind of they look funny, like hairy
Mm.
cell leukemia is called hairy cell leukemia because they go from being these tight, nice globular cells that you see in scientific cartoons to looking like they have hairs sprouting out from underneath
Mm.
them.
Mm.
So, wow. So it's
So
the cell. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Carmen.
no, no, I I feel we're getting further and further away from my little story. So
Oh yeah, you want to go back to Q? Because I can go into Q.
Well,
Q,
well,
Q, Q, what is Q?
oh, okay. I think I'm tracking this. One, I don't think we're getting further away from the story, although we got an in-depth discussion of how cancer works, which I think is
Yes,
really interesting.
me too.
I sort of want to address the biomimicry question from that and say, what does that teach us? Two things. One is the Q thing, Carmen, is Q is the organization that handles this post-Armageddon seed bank up in
Uh,
Alaska,
okay.
right?
Up in
And
Sweden
then
or
and
Norway,
sweet,
sorry.
right, in cold places. But then the other question is like biomimicry that comes up for me is like, what can we learn from these cancer cells and what you've learned from cancer cells about how we should be doing things to avoid human kind of social cancers?
Should we talk about genomic instability?
I don't know. I have no idea. The way you talk is so full of drama and delight. I just say like whatever.
It is, yes. I have a couple of friends that you remind me of, but so I'm not unfamiliar with this approach to
It's
conversation.
it's
But
a very storied approach, and
yes,
like I'm like whatever you say with your
yeah,
mouth
yeah,
and your
yeah.
brain, I would like to hear.
Oh, well, you're just flattery will get you everywhere.
So, what are your thoughts on all that?
Who's this? Who are you asking the question of? Because should we go
You.
deeper into biomimicry to make
I don't
sure
know.
I'm not?
What appeals to you?
Well, let me tell you why I thought of genome instability.
Yeah.
The genome in cancer cells, things break down and the genome tries to repair itself. So, gene, you'll get uh, copy number deletion. So you'll lose arms of the chromosome. But because genetic networks uh, can there's upregulation and downregulation, and there's multiple actors, if you will. Sometimes certain aspects of that genetic pathway will try and upstream will try and compensate for what the losses are downstream, and it will overcopy itself. Um,
Ah, and that could actually cause a cancer itself.
that can, yeah,
That's
yeah, it's a
in the
phen
cancer process.
yeah, and
Yeah.
there's drugs that actually target cancers with genomic instability to heal it.
Wow, it's almost like the autoimmune response when people have autoimmune disorders, right? It's similar. Well, so that definitely relates to this biomimicry thing, which is sometimes when trying to heal a problem, you make other problems inadvertently.
But sometimes you can actually live with a very unstable genome.
As an example being,
Yeah. How do you do that?
Um, well, like the most recent project I was on, we were working with samples from a biobank, and
Like you.
and so it was wonderful people that uh, donated their biological samples to to drug companies to understand this genomic instability and their drug, how their drug, let's just call it, rescued them. And it's no joke. The drug class is called PARP inhibitors, and they work on tumors, solid tumors that are genomically unstable. And their first indication was in ovarian cancer. Before PARP inhibitors, you had a 35% chance of living 6 months
Hmm.
right?
with
And
ovarian cancer.
and when were those PARP inhibitors like used in therapy?
The first one was Lynparza. I'm
I have a
Googling.
good, I had a good friend. I still have her as a friend who died of ovarian cancer in 2018, and she lived 4 years after it was diagnosed. So I'm just imagining she must have taken something
Like
like
that.
what you're describing.
Yeah, it was definitely before 2018. I'm trying to
Okay.
bring it up. They're actually old. The science of the Lamparza product. Okay, so they were launched December 19th, 2014.
Oh, right when she was diagnosed.
Oh, wow.
The mechanism was discovered when I was at Cambridge in two lab doors down.
Wow.
Wow.
Um, I forgot where we were.
Let me see.
Um,
I've been trying to create a diagram of our conversation because
Excellent. Look at that.
I believe this is one of the most non-linear
linear.
that we've ever had. And let me tell you, that's saying a lot.
Oh my God, it really is.
So where were we?
We were
Before
talking about genomic
genomic instability, I
instability.
had asked about solid versus hairy cancer. It's the only way I know how to describe it. Cell cycle. Before that,
Oh, but Carmen, you had asked most recently, how does one live? How can you live with genomic instability as a
yes, I
as
did
a
ask
way
that
into the
question.
biomimicry? Yeah.
Yes.
And then you said, for example, the PARP inhibitors, but how does that
Yeah.
relate to that?
So we would look at these things. We'd look at a whole genome view of where their chromosomes were breaking down and stuff like that. And I feel like you couldn't just look at it by eye to know if the person actually had genome instability. You could have segments, and some segments weight, so, some chromosomes could be unstable where others could be stable, and that person would not have disease. So I think you can live with a bit of genomic instability depending on where it is. And if we're thinking about biomimicry and trying to make a parallel between um, when can you live in an unstable network and it not be pathologic versus when can you live in a unstable network and it is pathologic? I think there's a way. Even if it's just a thought experiment
So,
and
so
nature has
interesting.
shown us two
Yes.
examples.
Right. Right. Yeah. Really interesting.
Oh, wow, that would be worth trying to understand at the
Yeah.
cellular level so that
Yeah.
we could apply it to the
Well, I mean,
societal
you
level.
know, my background is, well, I guess it is sort of social science, but, you know, I spent a lot of time thinking about instabilities in countries and societies. And, you know, we knew uh, after many years of working on this that what was unstable in England barely caused a ripple in Italy, you know, and was like completely insignificant in India, right? So
Right.
people would like be trying to create scales of
Oh,
civil
interesting.
unrest or political instability indicators, but they all had to be contextual,
Exactly.
which drove the linear people nuts because they, you know, it did not help them with their model. Because if you have to have a specific model for each country, well, then there's no point in really in having a model of everything because it never applies, right?
That reminds me of the body. I mean, think of
Okay,
brain.
hold on. I got to write that one down.
Oh, I think of brain cells, right? In the human brain, in order to learn new things, it's creating new connections, it's altering its structure. Sometimes it alters the amount of neurotransmitter a single cell will use. The glial cells come in there and they're modulating what's going on chemically at different times for different purposes. If you did that in the liver, like you're toast. Like the liver just needs to create its cells and then reproduce. When this cell gets old, it needs to reproduce another cell that does the same thing. I
Mm.
mean, and so there we have, India and the UK, right?
Yeah, in
And,
Italy, right?
and Italy, right? And
Yeah.
so how interesting that sort of it's almost like the purpose of that part of the body is served by a certain amount of instability, and that needs to be retained. And it makes me think of the
It's just
world.
so interesting.
Yeah, it
It's
makes me think of
so
the world as a
interesting
body,
to
right?
think that even
Well,
this
it has to be. I mean,
basic
right? It
unit.
has to be. It's a large ecosystem like Gaia.
Mhm.
But wait, Carmen, basic beauty, did you say?
No, no, this basic unit, the
Um,
human has like, you know, who knows how many, I don't know what the word to use, philosophies or basic law, systems operating with different basic laws.
Right. We contain multitudes, just like
Yeah,
are expressed on our planet, in our
yeah,
bodies and in ourselves. Yeah.
absolutely.
Wow.
All
Right.
right,
And
can I tell my little story? I just really want to. So,
I didn't know you were
uh,
suffering over there.
no, I am, but um, I, I'm a kind of a Russia Russophile. I'll never get to go there. I'm very sad about that. And uh, because of my
Yep.
previous career, it's just never, it seems unlikely that I will ever be safe. Anyway, so there was an article I read about 15 years ago about the discovery of a family, and it's kind of an extended family of old believers. Do you know what old believers are?
Oh, do
Mm-mm.
In the Russian Orth in the Russian, you're gonna make me snort, and that's not nice. So in the in the Russian Orthodox Church, Peter the Great, and then I think subsequent emperors uh, tried to modernize, well, did modernize Russia. And one of the things that got modernized just a little bit was the Russian Orthodox Church. So these people cleaved off that were old believers. And some of them became so afraid of losing what they thought were the real beliefs that they actually went into hiding in Russia. And Russia's huge. And somewhere in the 1940s, 1950s, something like that, in the middle of the last century, somebody doing some kind of geographic survey found the family. And they literally had lived in splendid isolation for a couple of decades.
Wow.
And they told this story of, how they went there, how they got there, how they survived. And they talked about this horrible year when their rye crop failed. And they were left with one surviving rye plant. And they had to post people 24 hours a day. I'm not joking, to make sure the rye plants lived, or they would die. And that story, I sort of suspect maybe it's a little embellished, but nevertheless, I was always fascinated
I
at the
don't think it's embellished.
condition of this family whose entire future survived about keeping the one little rye plant alive. And anyway, that's it. I have nothing else
No,
to
I don't
say
think it's
about the story.
embellished, right? So, I'm reading a book.
The
It's
up,
the it's
up up
called the
higher a
third,
little bit, or go further back. Oh wow.
right?
Yes, is this during the siege or some other time?
100%.
Yes, good.
And it's about how I'm going to mispronounce his name. Maybe you know how to pronounce his name. Vavilov. He came to Petrograd, which was became Leningrad, which is now St. Petersburg. Um, but I went there when it was Leningrad, so I call it Leningrad. Um, he came to the Plant Production Institute, and people, because they were at verge of famine, were eating the wheat and eating the seeds.
Um,
Um, but as we all know, during the siege, the scientists moved in to the seed banks and protected the plants and literally died
Protecting the
in
plants.
the
Yeah.
seed banks of starvation. And then
Hmm.
in this book, which I'm just starting to read, they
Mm.
tell stories of how the Germans had land. They had conquered land that was some of the seed potato plots,
Hmm.
and at night they would do commando raids. The
Oh,
Russians would do commando raids to dig up the potatoes.
oh my God. I
Mm.
just put in my potatoes yesterday.
Oh, oh,
I grow them in potato bags, and my favorite plant to grow because I just love them. I just think they're just little treasure chests. when you finally harvest them.
Well, they are, and you go digging for them like little
Yeah,
lost
yeah,
children.
yeah, I love it.
But watch out for the KGB. They're going to come dig them up, apparently.
No, I these were scientists, right? I mean, and who knows what the KGB really is? I mean,
Wait, what?
I know what the KGB really is.
Yeah, like let's find out from Carmen.
No.
Wait, what do you mean? What?
So are
Wait,
we actually even
what?
talking about what we're supposed to be talking? I
I
mean,
don't know what
not
we're
that
supposed to be
I have a
talking.
problem with it, but I'm just
No, we
curious.
are. So what
Yeah.
I wanted to have Mary come on here and talk about seed banks and the importance of recognizing a snapshot in time of genomics and just what that means for us. But I'm fascinated by your comment, and Carmen may prevent us from going down that hallway, but I'm curious about your comment about we don't know what the KGB really is. Where is that? Can you say more about that, or do you have to? What's your
oh,
deal?
I can because I'm a total civilian.
So you lived or studied or whatever in the Soviet Union when it was
No,
still the Soviet
I was a
Union?
child. So I'm from Detroit, as you know. And I don't know where you went when you were in Detroit, but there's this place called Cranbrook.
No, I
And
didn't go there.
Cranbrook is sort of one of the big centers of mid-century design.
Oh,
Folks
I wish I
fled
had
war.
gone there.
Have you gone there?
No, I wish I had gone there.
Yeah, it's totally lovely. That's a
I
book in
went
the
to
next room.
Indian something. Indian Village?
Oh, Greenfield Village?
No, it was Indian. It had the word Indian in it. And it was a place of beautiful old homes,
Mm.
probably mid-century homes that had belonged to the rich, Detroit rich, and were in, some were still maintained and some were, not.
Yeah, I'm from the suburbs, but I don't know the name, the exact. I think I know what you're talking about, but I can't articulate its
Yeah.
exact name. Anyway, so my mom and I went back on a quote unquote artistic pilgrimage with the Art Academy back in 79. I think it was 79. And while my dad was in China on business.
Oh, wow. So that's how you got a personal relationship with Leningrad.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. But and so what I'm saying is who knows what the KGB is I would imagine it's a big Gaussian blur. Like, I mean, sure,
Yes.
you can identify exactly what it is, but I imagine on the edges it becomes a Gaussian blur.
No, I'm sure. I'm sure.
That's all I meant.
Okay, I was
Yeah, it
just
is called Indian Village in Detroit.
oh,
I don't know. I mean, it's a very nice residential area, but I don't know why it's called Indian Village.
I have this urge in terms of this conversation, but maybe other people have urges. I'm vocal about my urges in conversation, but like, do other people have an urge? Here's my urge. Let me know if you like it. I am interested in asking Mary if she thinks about the future of seed banking, biobanking, and what that looks like and how it could be useful in the future. Does anyone else want to talk about that? Because I think it relates to the preservation. It's not the preservation of the past, but it's the preservation of potential in a way.
So I'll throw in my two things, and then Mary can and choose or freelance. But I've already done all believers, so let me scratch
I
that one.
love old believers. I'm
Yes.
crazy about were they sort I would love to go deeper into old
Yeah,
believers
all believers.
personally.
Yeah.
Um,
So sociopath, and which requires some explanation, and budget cuts, which do not. So, what would you like to talk about? Doesn't have to be on this list.
uh, Sociopaths as a class, budget cuts as a discussion point versus seed banks as storing potential.
Hmm.
And it doesn't have to be verses.
Let me just give you I can do the sociopath very quickly.
Okay.
It's a new book out called Sociopath. The author is a diagnosed sociopath, is now is a clinical psychologist.
Ooh,
There's
that gives
about
me
a
the creeps.
40-minute interview with her. Have you seen it?
No, no. But
I
when
watched
Mary
this. I'll
said it
send
gives
you
her the
both the
creeps,
link. I watched it yesterday. absolutely fascinated
Mm.
because she was explaining how she learned she was a sociopath, how she's understood it as a profession, how she copes with it. And the whole time I was listening to her, one of the big thoughts that came into my mind is, oh, she belongs to a group of people who have evolved on a different path.
Yeah.
And the question to myself is she more involved than us silly emotional types?
Yeah.
Because that was one of her definitions of sociopath, that they just don't process emotions the same way as more normal or I don't normal, who knows what normal
Neurotypical
is,
people. Yeah.
neurotypical people do.
Yeah.
And anyway, for me, the big question is, okay, well, are they ahead of us? Because for the longest time, I've argued, I think correctly, that emotions have continued to be such a dominant part of our species because they must have a useful purpose from an evolutionary perspective. But then one of my big takeaways from her conversation was that being a sociopath is actually pretty handy in
Yes.
many ways, you know? And I'm like, hmm, I'm done.
That reminds me of the cells. Like for a particular type of
Yes.
organ, it has to be kind of sociopathic because it's going out and killing other cells. It's like, I'm not going to worry, oh, whoops, I killed an actual cell that belonged to the body.
Yeah. So she would argue that we're not out there to kill. What she would argue is that we feel no shame
Yeah.
from killing and we don't quite understand empathy.
When you say we,
I will send you the link because
are you
it's
including yourself as a sociopath when you say we?
no,
No, you're
no.
saying that she says we as
She
a
says,
sociopath.
as a group, you know,
Okay.
you can imagine she's ended up treating a lot of sociopaths. She's written a
Well, that
book,
that
and
that
yeah.
makes us feel good, doesn't it?
Yes.
So what if we go postmodern on this?
Okay.
And what if we say there is no center? There is no
Mm,
hierarchy.
mm,
And it is part of an ecosystem. And actually, sociopaths are useful.
yes.
Just ask Mr. Putin.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's right up there. I'm not sure that I think sociopaths are useful. I think we have to be careful about putting them in positions of power. Bec-
100%, right?
but I think they're useful for making change, for bringing new ideas along, for cutting through the BS.
One of the points she made is that, of course, they're on a spectrum, like everything else is on a spectrum. And the fact that we use this word and create this big clump of people that are actually quite different from each other isn't very useful to society. But
I don't have the
Mm.
DMS code of how you define sociopath, but I think there are some very negative traits affiliated with sociopaths. But there
mhm.
are uses of these neurodivergence traits, and that's why they survive, right? Like,
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
and Genghis Khan had a lot of babies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, I think you can go through life and survive and pass on your genes as a sociopath um, pretty successfully. And I think that one of the reasons that they're not a larger part of the population is because there's a genetic need for developing the self, developing the moral self. There's like this need, we have an expectation built into the way you develop a brain sort of to be in an environment with other people who have emotions is to understand emotions.
Right.
And so, like, only certain circumstances can sociopathy really win the day and become a trait of a leader.
Right.
And I
Right.
think we're seeing those circumstances again.
So one of the points that she makes was that there is the so I'm having trouble saying that word, sociopath and psychopath. She said are not in the DMS, that they are actually different they're outside of the DMS,
The
and you
DSM?
use a
Right.
DSM, right? And you
Right.
use different tests, instruments to diagnose sociopathic, psychopathic people. And the point she makes is those instruments are only ever used on prison populations.
Right.
And so she goes, the whole
Biased.
kind of way we have captured them and described them is tremendously skewed
Negative.
to the
Hmm.
extreme
Hmm.
end
Hmm.
of these pathologies, and that there
Yeah.
are many people way downstream or upstream, whichever way, from these extreme types that we just don't understand them at all.
Oh, isn't
They're
it
never
something
going to
like,
kill anybody. They're not going to commit a crime. They
well,
just aren't going to be very empathetic.
it might be white collar crime. And isn't it something like 10% of CEOs are sociopaths or something? I mean, it does allow
Oh,
you to get
I can
ahead
believe it. Yeah.
in a
It's
competitive
redonkulous
environment.
up in the C-suite. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's called antisocial personality disorder. I just got that
Yeah,
instead of
that's one of them.
sociopathy.
That's one of the
Yeah.
kind of ones that leads up to whatever.
And I would say that this lady who is saying that the majority of the traits were done by studies of prisoner, yes, she's accurate. However, post GWAS studies, which genome-wide association studies, it's where you smash genomes against each other and kind
Hmm.
of it's look for similarities, hypothesis free science. But that dawned a whole research stream of which one finger or one avenue
Yeah.
was sociopathy, studied agnostic outside the prison population.
Yeah,
And so
right,
I would
right.
argue she's looking backwards in her scientific research
Yeah,
and
and there's
hasn't
more
looked
recent
forward
stuff.
as,
Right.
yeah.
Right. That's interesting. I wonder if she tries to treat sociopaths. I want to read this book. We'll put a link to this book
Yeah,
in the,
we will put a link, and I will, after we get off, send you both the link to the interview. It just came out, so the
yeah,
book, like last year, so it's very fresh.
cool. Well, what about Q? I know that we're ending our time together. Do you have a moment to comment on Q? And why do I keep thinking of James Bond? Is this like a James Bond? Is that like a little inside joke?
KEW versus the letter Q.
Oh, okay. So no,
Kew Gardens.
got it. So what about Q?
Is the question,
Question is, Q was on your mind earlier as a potential thing to talk about. I'm
oh,
curious why.
well, because they manage the Svalbard seed bank. And your question regarding what is the future?
Yeah.
How are they going to be used in the future? And, past is a great predictor of future, I would say, to aid us in making our crops more resilient. And then uh, I would say not only our barley, our wheat, our corn, but also our specialty crops like chocolate and coffee, all threatened by climate change.
Yes.
And if you just focus, if you perceive that saving it just by the DNA, and then you're going to splice in your special resilient gene in, that's not the right answer because climate change causes crises. And in crises, we don't have time to screen 400 clones like Mary sitting in her laboratory having a psychic crisis at the end of the day. Uh, we need answers within a growing season. And so that means you actually need the plants productively growing inside of field plots. So to me, the resilience of our agriculture, just like we were talking about the old believers fighting for their rye crop,
Hmm.
I do believe that, and this was in my TED talk on the uh, Plant Production Institute of Kharkiv got bombed,
That's right.
right?
Yeah.
Uh, but fortunately, the Russians did not bomb the seed bank portion. They shot up the test plots, right? Unfortunately, um, the scientists managed to save a lot of that, pull things to the eastern Ukraine or even all the way up to Svalbard. But I think you're going to see instability around these biobanks or test plots as climate change threatens our favorite or our absolute necessary crops. I really do think that. And
Mm,
people don't think of the problem this way. I really
mm.
don't think they think of it this way. I think they think of it more as the gardens are novelties.
Mm,
Right.
mhm.
Now, why am I wrong
You
in
might not be.
thinking, huh?
You might not be.
Well, no, but I'm going to ask you the question this way. I think that we're going to be surprised by climate change on the upside and on the downside. And seeds will emerge or plants will emerge or all of a sudden, God knows how, these things are going to show up that we're going to go, oh wow, I never knew we had these, and they're fantastic. I have my own little house in Northern Virginia, and I only got interested in gardening 10 years ago. And every year I go out and I go, where'd you come from? Who are you? And he goes, hi, I'm here. And I go, well, if you like it here, I'm going to give you a chance, right? So why am I wrong well, I don't think I'm wrong that some of that is going to happen.
Oh, you know it's going to happen as the permafrost thaws. You absolutely know it's
Exactly,
going to happen.
exactly. I was just thinking
And it's
out
completely
in Canada,
happening.
people are
We
going to
read
go,
it in the scientists.
whoa.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So is it too early to know whether it's going to be a net bad for the human civilization, or are you convinced that it's definitely a net bad?
Well, I'm going to argue like a postmodernist, right? Um, but selfishly, I love my chocolate. Like, right, I'm eating M&Ms. I am very fearful that we have not done enough
No, I'm sure
for
that's right.
chocolate. And, chocolate for me, but as it relates to corn, barley, wheat,
Mm,
yes, I think we may even get additional growing seasons in, right? Winter
yeah.
wheat wasn't a thing. Now in Wisconsin, winter wheat's an absolute thing.
Hmm. Interesting.
So it sounds like you're saying there has to be some way to adapt, and maybe we could use these seed banks to help us so we have our chocolate. And at the same time, Princess Leia is going to come along. You totally look like her because you also have this, and then you've got the white, right?
Yeah, it is,
Princess Leia is going to come
yeah.
on just along and say,
Well,
"Help me, Obi-Wan
I
of
can't get
Kenobi."
her, I can't get her to you, so oh well.
We didn't have Princess Leia where I played with Star Wars
Mm,
figurines. We only
mm,
had the boys,
mm.
Yeah, she was an add-on.
right? I mean, let's have hope that the old believers
Yes,
were onto something.
yes.
Yeah, that's why I find you so fascinating, Mary, is because your direction of focus is the past and the value that's there that needs to be saved. And I never think of that ever, ever.
Well, you know what? You strike me a little bit like Mary is a trickster. If you're
Yeah,
familiar with that, no, it's good.
that's a
I mean,
good
I'm
thing.
sort of like a trickster.
Oh,
I
yes.
pale in comparison. I think I pale in comparison to your tricksterism. But the trickster are people that kind of uh, poke holes at conventional
Are you
wisdom
Joseph
and
Conrading? Is it Joseph
Jo-
Conrad?
Campbell. She's
Joseph
Joseph
Conrad.
Campbelling.
Campbell. Are
She's
you
Jo-
Joseph
Joseph
Campbelling?
Campbelling.
yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, you're like a magician.
Yeah, very much so.
Hmm.
Very much so.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is a good thing. We are saying that this is a good thing.
Yeah.
You're working your magic. It's important to the
I'm
world.
weaving
And
my
you're
magic
you're
as
weaving the story, you're weaving mythologies, you're weaving the future, and using the past. It's really quite beautiful.
Yeah, it's charming. Well, this was a great conversation.
Yeah, I loved it. I'm going to
And
go ahead and
I,
turn off the
yeah.
recording.